name's Phil, big fan, guys. Question is kind of easy for each of you. What is your favorite song on the Last Dragon soundtrack? Because we know that's an epic soundtrack for movies, so I just kind of curious.
To the beat of the rhythm of the night. Sukiyaki sake, you sake to me, I sake to you. You ain't nothing but oh, that's what movie. You got that cold, yeah, I like that. All right, young fan here.
Draven, Mr. Ernie Reyes Jr. Was it fun working with The Rock?
That's a different movie.
Still.
She says, like,
Yeah, I mean, that was a great, a great film, and, to be able to work with The Rock and have a great fight scene, and to be able to kind of do what I was able to do was just awesome. And Dwayne was very, very just welcoming, and he was just a great guy to work with. But, going back to The Last Dragon, I mean, The Last Dragon means so much to probably all of us, but for me, 30 years later and pursuing, the life and career of an actor is not an easy thing. And The Last Dragon, to be your first movie and kind of set the tone and the bar for your dreams was just, it was a dream come true. I mean, being a fan of Motown, because I grew up, with my dad listening to Motown records and, that whole legacy, to be part of that and to be in New York and filming this movie that was so ahead of its time. I mean, The Last Dragon was ahead of its time, and I'm really proud to have, The Last Dragon be my first film, and it really is the film that means the most. When people ask me what was my favorite movie ever to make, it's gotta be The Last Dragon. So I appreciate everybody coming today and supporting, and it's been a great event, so thank you.
Raise your hand.
Oh, this is Bill. Came all the way from Calgary. Brought his daughter, who is probably the biggest Last Dragon fan around, has been watching Last Dragon since she was 2.5 years old, and loves every minute of it. And she must have got about 5 pictures autographed by Taimak today. So go ahead, Bill.
Hi guys, Jesse has a question. Her favorite picture with the bullet in your teeth. She wants to know how you made that picture.
It's one of those things you never want to practice at home.
right.
You only catch a bullet with your teeth when you're doing a movie. And only after you spoke to the prop person to make sure it's not real. My teeth, I went to the dentist, I think they were perfect.
Tell us who you are, where you're from.
I'm Kaylee, I'm from East Point. What's your favorite part from the movie?
We'll start with you.
The first scene was my favorite part because after I finished it and they didn't fire me, I was happy I was still on the move. Everything else, I'll tell you, when you first get over that first hump, whatever it is, if you ask the girl out and she says okay, or if you're doing a movie and you finish the day's work and they say, okay, that was good. The rest is smooth sailing. So I was very happy about that. Thank you for asking.
It's really hard to say what my favorite scene was in the movie, Everybody was so great to work with. I mean, I can't tell you what was a favorite scene. All of it was great.
Yeah, I pretty much feel the same way. And I came in right towards the end of the filming, so. But, you watch back the movie, there's just so many memorable classic scenes in that film. It's incredible, and it's obviously held up, after all these years. But I remember being on set, and the scene that I remember, where I just had such a great feeling, I was a young kid, and we were there, we were in Seventh Heaven, and it was the last shot where they were going up into, you know, the rafters, and we were all in white dancing around. I was like, oh man, this is fresh.
Yeah. That was you're right. That scene in Seven Heaven at the end, we're all wearing white. That was a real magical moment, you know, for all of us to be in. It felt like it was like a spiritual. It was like everybody was having fun. They had professional dancers there. They had regular folks, but everybody was dancing. You know, me and Vanity going up. It was almost like a real wedding.
I was living out my Soul Train fantasies.
And that became famous now. You see all the white parties. I always say, well, that was the first all-white party. Yeah, Last Dragon started that. Else we got?
Hi, I'm Jalen. I'm from Detroit. And I want to know, how did little Richie feel about getting thrown in that garbage can?
Well, I don't know. He didn't seem to like it very much. But, you know, they were paying him okay. So, you know, he had spaghetti all over him. It was fine. You know?
What else we got?
Who came up with some of those crazy sayings like Extreme Reading, Rick James? I mean, who wrote that? You just don't know that stuff when you're doing that.
One thing I think is a great opportunity for Glen to tell a little story about how those lines came about. You know, we've been talking about that, and I'm just going to give it to this character here. You know, just starting with you and Mary Gordy talking about that.
Oh yeah.
I think with that.
Well, that one line right there, it wasn't in the script, I don't think. And Barry came up to me on the set and he said, "We're not getting the reaction from that guy that we want. And so tell him this in this next take." And he told me to say that. And he threw in a few curse words to go with it. And I thought, I was afraid to say it because I didn't want to get fired. So, but it was Barry Gordy, so I figured if he likes it, everything was fine. So when he did the scene, I went ahead and did it, and the guy looked at me like this, and they got the reaction they wanted, so everything worked out. But Barry Gordy, I'm going to say, was, without him, the film would not have had the punch it did. The man's a genius, as you know, what he did in Motown. And it's not just a great businessman, but after spending time with him and the experiences in the film, the guy, he's down to earth, great sense of humor, and it's like, you know, when you get a good idea at home, because you're alone and you're relaxed, and then when you get in an audition or something, you're so nervous, it doesn't come up. Well, the guy could be in front of anybody in the set or anything, and he'll come up with those things you wish you could have. You know? So he's not afraid of anything. And that's fear is not a part of this thing. I think that's what I learned from him. Is don't be afraid of anything. Your dreams, if you've got an instinct, you want to go with it. If you fall on your face, that's okay. But if you don't try, you go home that night and you go, hey, you know? So just go for it. And that's very good.
How you doing? I'm Jonathan. I'm the Last Dragon's biggest fan, I believe. Personally, I believe. But I was trying to think of what I didn't know about the Last Dragon. A couple of things was, did the dojo, did it have a name? And did anybody have a crush on Vanity back then? And
I had a crush on Vanity.
Anything we might not know about the Last Dragon?
Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
So when I was living in San Jose at the time, when we were doing The Last Dragon, and I was already a big Vanity 6 fan, and so I had my posters and everything. So when we went up to the set,
You were too young to listen to that music.
I was listening to that music, and I was like, "Oh, can you give me an autograph?" She said, "Yeah, sure." And then I rolled down that poster that I had, and he remembers. But no, it was an awesome rating. It's like, just, I can't keep going back. Like when I first, this weekend, when I first saw these gentlemen for the first time, in 30 years, it was just a flood of emotion and memories that were just beautiful. So I'm really, again, just happy to be here, hanging out with the guys and talking about, for me, my favorite films.
obviously converted it for the film.
Okay. But never had no specific name like in the movie?
Like
Never had-
Leroy's Dojo.
Oh, if they named it a name?
in the movie, like, you know, did Leroy have...
They did name it a name.
Yeah, I didn't see your son.
Leroy Green Jr.'s Dojo.
Leroy Green.
I mean, it was your
You can make it up
dojo.
now. It was Leroy Green Jr.'s Dojo.
There it is.
I just want to say too that for me, doing the picture was a great experience, like with them. But when I saw the movie, for me it's difficult to really watch it and be subjective about it because you're in it. You just remember the days you shot that scene and what was going on. But I didn't know how people would react. I mean, they could have been like, and I would have been like, okay. But to see such good reaction, especially years later, when I'm walking down the street, somebody recognizes it, they say, oh man, that movie, I'm not sure if they're just kidding. You can see any actor, you go, oh, I love your work, you know? And they really love that picture. And generation after generation who weren't born at that time, yeah, because they like, and they're showing their kids now, and so it's like, it's a whole new experience. Again, from making the picture, so it's like, you just feel so good to have been a part of something that still inspires people. Although we didn't make the picture, we were just a part of in the picture. We did our part. It's great to be a part of an experience like that. And thank God to fate and whatever's in control here that allowed us to do that, because we're just actors and we're glad to get work. But when you do something like that, and he's a martial artist, you know, but when you do something like that, it's very magical. So I want to thank all you guys for coming up here and showing us your love and your inspiration. Thank you.
I got a little bit of a funny story. Talking about when they finished shooting the film, and Barry Gordy had to screen the film a few times to see the response because there was no film ever made like it, and he was a little nervous. He didn't know how the audience would respond. So initially, they had an edit on the film that he didn't feel he fulfilled the type of response in the screen that he knew he could get. So they went back in the editing room, they did some adjustments, and then they screened it again. And he actually called me late one night and he said, Taimak, you won't believe this, I just screened the film and there's somebody who wants to talk to you. And he was a big music star from the 70s named Stevie Wonder. And I'm like, okay, Stevie Wonder's blind. What's he gonna say? He says, well, you know, Stevie Wonder wants to talk to me. I just want you to know, people went crazy in the movie theater and they're all dancing in the movie theater like it's a club. So he gave the mic to Stevie Wonder. He said, hi, Taimak. And I was like, you know, big fan of his. He said, man, that movie was amazing. And I still in my mind, I'm like, how the hell? So he must have had an interpreter next to him, telling him what was happening. How does he see the picture? He's a blind guy. He loved it. You know, anyway, it was a story I want to share.
That leads me to a question that I want to ask each of you, just what do you think it was that just made this film so special and so memorable for so many people? Like the people that watch this movie and give it a chance just love this movie. I just wonder if each of you could just comment on what you think made it so memorable, so special. You know, some of the things that come to mind to me is it just captures kind of the magic of the 80s of New York City, you know, combining the music with the martial arts, and Bruce Lee, the first time, you know, a black character was really a lead superhero with a black love interest and a black villain. But then beyond that, it transcends race. And, you know, people of all colors love this movie. All over the world love this movie. So I hope it didn't steal your thunder. But yeah, if you guys could just comment on what you feel made the movie so special, so memorable.
Well, I mean, for me, I think first and foremost it was the actors. I mean, without Taimak, without Glen doing what they did, like there is no movie. The script is just there, and it's a kind of a dead thing. You know, it's not living and breathing yet until the actors breathe life into those words and make them real. And it's about the audience, you know, buying into these people's journey and believing in them. And for me, it's really about the messaging, and I think that that's why the movie still plays today. It's about the message. It's about the theme of The Last Dragon. That theme still relates to us now, today. The challenges to face and overcoming of those, and the empowerment that one feels and experiences when they overcome those challenges. And so my hat's off to these guys for sure.
I think that it was a film that had so many different elements, and the task was to be able to make a great movie out of that. How do you make an action film with comedy and romance and have all this music and then deal with race in a brilliant way, having Chinese guys act like they're black with a black character acting like he's Chinese, and it was just, it was just ridiculous, but it's brilliant because it, like Ernie said, it had a spiritual underline. A lot of times with films that have a spiritual impact, they get very heavy and very heady, and the humor was so brilliant that you didn't even think about all that. It was just part of the story, and I think the magic of it was that it was about an innocent character, and everybody feels for a character that is being beat down, that really, because everybody out there in some way, in some time in their life, have felt beat down by something. It could be your people in the neighborhood, it could be your wife, it could be your husband. You feel like, man, leave me alone, Or as a kid, if you're a bully in school, you want that kid to win in the end, So that it also had that element. So to me, it was all these elements came together and worked, and I give credit to the whole cast. I give credit to Michael Schultz, the director, of course, Barry Gordy, the creator and the writer, of course. It's very hard to do something like that.
On the same line, I think that what really hit it, I hope, is that a lot of martial art or action pictures tend to just go off the action, or the violence, or the sex, or flash. What about this? About this picture, you get Latins, blacks, whites, Asians, and when you leave the picture, you don't feel violent. You don't feel angry at each other. You feel it gave that sense of humor to it, like showing up, did a brilliant job playing the bad guy. But all races don't look at him like, oh man. They look at him like, I love him. So you love the bad guys too. So it has no prejudice or no hate upon anybody. And it's at the old simple, like the West, the good guy, the bad guy, and at the end the good guy wins through a tough struggle because he finds himself. So it's got the message that's universal, and everybody feels good about each other and themselves when they leave the picture. And I think that's why it lives on.
Yeah, well, the interesting quick story about that was, remember this is back in the 80s, and TriStar really, to deal with the racial aspect of it, they didn't know it was going to sell over to a white audience. Oddly enough, I mean, I knew in my heart that it had that type of film that everybody would love, So they didn't promote the film to the majority audience, which was white in America. They didn't promote the They didn't show it on channels like, back in the day, the movie, TV shows that everybody watched. They kept it secluded only in the black community. So even though they did that, the film did go as high as number 2 in the country, but it didn't get the draw that it was really needed because they didn't really promote it properly. And everybody was very frustrated about that. It really got its popularity to all the rest of the country and the world when they showed it repeatedly on TV, on HBO and CBS and so forth, So it was a real mistake made by TriStar at the time.
Hi guys. Glen will meet later. I'm Natura from Chicago. And I made a comment earlier about me and him and how we don't quote one line from this movie every week. We're not having a good week. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. I said, if we don't quote one line from this movie every week, we're not having it.
Say one other quote.
One other quote.
Give us a quote. One more time.
Big one.
Don't do Ernie's, don't do Ernie's.
There we go.
We already missed the second show.
You got an agent?
No, but I do need one. Okay, so my question is, what are you guys' favorite quotes from the movie, whether it's yours or the movie by someone else?
Thank you. Great question. Let's start.
So many, right? Oh my God. And you know, there's so many that I'll just say one at the top of my head because there's so many that I like. But just direct your pizza.
Watch yourself, son.
See, Leroy, you know you're always teaching us to master the art of fighting without fighting. Well, I'll teach you one better. I master the art of fighting without knowing how to fight. Because it's true.
Well, that was more of a script than a line.
Yeah.
You gotta get the acting out. It's good.
My favorite line of the movie is, "Who's the master?"
I am. Don't say so. Don't say it. I am.
Go ahead, tell us what you
Good afternoon, guys. D'Angelo, the self-proclaimed shogun of Detroit. Yeah, I cut it all off. My question to you guys, I've watched this movie probably 100 times or more. What was the name of the female characters that showed up Entourage?
What's the name of the again?
What were the names of the female characters that showed up Entourage?
You guys can't answer like it.
Yeah, go for it.
That's a trick question because they didn't actually have me. It was Shows Girl 1, Shows Girl 2, and Shows Girl 3. That's it. You knew that, though, didn't you? You knew that. That's why it's a show get in Detroit. There's another question here.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Isaiah. Brother here. A very huge fan of this movie. As Glen said, this is a movie that will be watched by generations to come. I don't have kids yet, but my kids will at least watch this movie once, whether they like it or not. But my question that I wanted to ask you three guys was, how do you feel about this movie being renamed?
How do you guys feel about the movie being remade?
As long as they don't mess up.
I don't think you can remake a movie, you know, that's like, you can't, your mother may make a great meal, but she can't remake this, there's always going to be something different. But you can do a movie that has a lot of the qualities, but try to remake it, it's almost like you can't copy something, it's almost impossible. But to do something that has the elements, you can do.
I agree with Taimak on that. I think that it has to be kind of reimagined. You can't try to remake the movie. And really, this whole thing about the remaking and remaking, I think there's probably not so much a remake, but a reimagining. But movies like this is a very difficult and challenging thing to do because it's such a classic film. And when you have that classic of a film, you start tinkering with it, and it's very dangerous because the last thing that you want to do is remake a classic movie like that and then not have it be what it's supposed to be. And that, what everyone's gonna expect if you do a new Last Dragon is it's gotta be like, a way above and beyond anything that anybody could expect. Otherwise, it's going to fall short. I do believe that it's going to happen, and just knowing that, my fingers are crossed. Because it means so much to me that it's done right. If you're going to do it right. That's my biggest thing. And I have faith. So as challenging as that may be, I think that it's possible. But they're going to have to be very careful in making sure that they do that right. Because if there's hardcore Last Dragon fans out there, they're going to be very upset if they don't do it right.
If we did do it and we surrounded a great cast around us and kick some butt and have a ball. Would you guys want to go see it?
Well, you can't step over the same piece of water twice, so that can't be done. What you can do is try to take the same message and update it with the technology they got today and the whole thing they got, and try to make it work. But I wish them the best, whoever does it. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm gonna go here. You had one too, right? He already asked.
All right. Hello, gentlemen. 2 questions.
Tell them how you got here. Tell us how
Well,
you got here. I didn't do it.
First of all, when my father called me and told me that the cast of The Last Dragon was up here at Gibraltar, he told me to get up here right away. I said, well, I can't. I don't have my car. He said, well, it's only 2 miles. You can run. I was up here in like 10 minutes. Okay. First question. I'm aware, well, not aware, but I know that you have a martial arts background, Taimak. And you also, Ernie, I'm aware of your background. But you, Glen, I'm not sure. But I do remember clearly in the movie when you grabbed them nunchucks. Oh my goodness. Man, this guy was amazing right here. All right, so I'm curious, do you have a martial arts background? And my second question is a more of a personal question. With the, how can I say this? With Leo O'Brien and Julius Carey, with them no longer being with us, rest in peace their souls, I was just wondering, what are your favorite memories of them from the movie?
The only background I have in martial arts is in 1973 when Bruce Lee came out, a lot of kids that I knew and new friends I made were imitating him. I had taken, like everybody else at that time, pictures of Bruce Lee in the magazines, looking in the mirror, putting on the music, you know, and I'd be there for hours, man. And I'm trying to get everything just right, you know, from the hand movements to everything. And so that's how I learned, is just by copying him in the film and the still pictures. And so when the time came to do the movie, that all came into play. But no, I didn't have I'm not a real fighter, and that didn't. Oh, the nunchucks. I had a Korean buddy who did the nunchucks, and so me and him were These are real, man. I had plastic ones in the movie. And I don't know how many times I injured my elbow. You know, everybody did, so let me try it here. I'll try.
You got it, Johnny.
Providing the nunchucks. And she got all the boys here to sign as well. Thank you very much.
You okay? There was another question. This is the martial arts experience and memories of Leo and Leo and Julius. You know, I personally believe that Julius was probably one of the best bad guys in any movie in history. And I think that his performance should be exalted up there with everything. With Scarface on down. Leo, God rest his soul, you know, just like these gentlemen, when I see them, they still have it. They still have that charisma. They still have that energy. Both of those guys, before they passed, they still had it. So, you know, and when I say pass, when I say, yeah, they're not on this earth, but they're still with us, you know. That's the way I look at death, you know. I look at it as, they're just somewhere else, but they're still with us, you know. So they're smiling down on us. And I had one amazing memory. I wasn't a trained actor. I did some school plays, but they hired me based on, you know, whatever, you know. And Julius was a trained actor, and he was making me laugh a lot throughout the whole shoot. I was just cracking up at everything. Julius, you know, he used to walk around in his outfit and character and, look at people, and he would mess with people and be like, what is this madness? You know, he'd find something hanging on the wall and tell Barry Gordy to take it down. And then I would be laughing and he would go, and he would start fights with me. And I would all stop. And he would try to make it serious because he wanted me to have an emotion when we were doing scenes together, you know, because he knew I liked it. So he got me really upset one time, and I actually got upset, and I said, man, don't do that anymore. He said, yeah, we gonna do. He was a big, tall guy, but I knew he didn't have this. So I said, man, this one, he ran. It was the funniest thing on his set. He's almost 6'7". In his outfit, he's showing up. He's running away. I'm gonna get you, man. I'm gonna get you. It was so funny. I was cracking up.
How much more time do we have? We're going good. If you guys are good, you guys want to do another 2 questions? How about 2 more questions?
Whoever didn't get one.
Hey, I just want to say welcome to Michigan, guys, and hope to God you guys can do this again. I'm here to support you. Do it again, guys, all right?
Okay, we'll do 2 more. I got one here, that'll wrap it up. Right here.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Justin. I'm from Ypsilanti. My question is for Ernie. First of all, I'm a huge fan of the film. Been watching it probably since I was 4 years old. I know I burned out the tape when I was a kid. As soon as I found it on DVD, I dove head first into the $5 bin at Walmart when I saw it to get it, and I cherish it to this day. My question is, most of your career, I know you grew up training with your father and working with him. Now, like most kids, especially like me, my father is and was my hero. And my question is, how do you feel getting to train, work, and play with your dad on camera, off camera? What was probably your favorite moment, anything at all with your father?
Now I'm like, I'm gonna be on Oprah and start crying. Choked up over here. I mean, you know, for me, when you're a kid, sometimes you don't really understand and appreciate what your parents are trying to instill in you. And, you know, I loved my martial arts, and we lived and breathed martial arts all day long, every day, and that's just what we did. My dad had his school before I was born, so that's just what we did. And there's lots of sacrifices that you make in order to excel at something and be great at something. There's a lot of focus and concentration. But I'll tell you, man, I had lots of great memories. I mean, when we were there and when we arrived, we flew to New York, and I think we took the red eye. And we got on, we were there, and we were on the 7th Heaven set, and I was just beside myself, and I ended up falling asleep on the set when I was so tired, passed out. My dad woke me up and was like, hey, it's time, we're about to perform for Barry Gordy or whatever. And
It was fun.
yeah, it's you know, martial arts is a very powerful tool in life. And sometimes you don't realize, you know, the things that your parents are doing for you until you become a parent. You're dealing with your kids. And a lot of the stuff that my dad has taught me, only now is it really, a lot of this stuff really sinking in. And you know, like Taimak was saying, everybody goes through challenges. Everybody feels beat up. sometimes you look at people in the movies and you go, wow, he's kicking ass everywhere, and they're invincible, and beating up the Rock, and doing all these different things, and in the end, you're just a human being as well, And a lot of the things that my dad has taught me are really just beginning to flourish inside of me now. All the things that parents tell you, yeah, and then it's like, now I'm here going through, life, and without those lessons, and without my martial arts, being a child actor, growing up in Hollywood, all of that comes along with it, without my martial arts training, I wouldn't be here probably today. And so I'm very thankful, and I'm very grateful to my father for everything that he's done for me, and much respect.
Don't end it on that. Don't end it on my Oprah moment here.
Last question.
Ernie, I'm gonna let you keep your Oprah moment, man. I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit. Fellas, Rudy Hill, Southwest Detroit. Question. You were too young, but these two fellas, being a big fan and having her poster on my wall and all that stuff, and the whole Prince thing and everything, what was Vanity like being with her? And come on, which one of you guys really is with her? Huh, Glen?
Here comes another Oprah moment. Well, I must say, I took a cab with her once, and I was very shy, nervous. Oh, come on now. and I love Robert De Niro, and so I didn't know what to say, so I was just sitting there, and somehow she mentioned that who's the favorite actor? I said, Robert De Niro is my favorite actor. She said, oh, I went out with him. I said, you went out with Robert De Niro? She said, oh yeah. What was he like? Oh, he's a bore. And I thought, no, you don't know, this guy's a genius. And I said, yeah, he went out, he had dinner, he didn't say a word. And every day after that, he kept calling, leaving messages on my phone. Yeah, and I thought, man. So I felt I was starstruck at that moment. So that's my moment with Vanity.
Well, she's a Christian now. And she's a very serious one. And she put all that life behind her. But I know the real Vanity.
After a night with Taimak, you can see why she went to Christianity.
I was a kid, so that's all I have to say. I plead the fifth. I'm innocent.
He told us already you had the poster. Yeah, but no, I was just gonna, one thing I would ask all you guys is just, tell us where people can follow you, Facebook, Twitter, that sort of thing, your websites. These guys want to keep in touch. They love you. They can follow me at lastdragontribute.com and everything I do for Last Dragon, but let's hear from these guys where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Ernie Reyes Jr. So again, thanks to everybody for being here.
Yeah, I'm any social media with a / I am Taimak, Taimak, IAMTAIMAK. Before we leave, and of course, you have some social media?
Okay, working on that.
You can find me on Facebook, and at the weekends I'm at the Funny Farm. So just
before I leave, I just want to give you guys something. Look, it's been almost 30 years, and what I've gotten over all these years on my journey, in my own personal, I think I went through a lot, but there are always people that go through much more, right? But it's always a constant similarity. There's always some similarities there. And you think life isn't there or whatever. But when you really get a good understanding of gratitude, and you really have some understanding that how lucky you are just to have food on the table and a roof over your head, when you really understand that, and you have your health, life isn't that bad, You can crack a joke in the darkest times, and you can really rise up. And once you do that, and you really commit to that, cracking those jokes, he's a great joke cracker, so get somebody like him. Cracking those jokes in your tough times and focusing on the positive will always get you through, and life gets better just on that. Follow your heart, do the thing you know that's right, even when you don't want to. Do what you know is right. And that's all I have to leave you with. And we're going to keep on flowing, you know? That's what that's about.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Right. And all of the madness has got you close. It's time to get step out into the street.